Hey everyone, it's Allison here again with New Little Life. Today I'm going to be talking about the Elvie breast pump. We're going to be talking about the pros and the cons. This is an awesome little pump and I'm really excited to dive into it with you. Okay, so if you're already here on this video, you probably already know what the Elvie pump is all about. But if you don't, this is a wearable pump. So this is the entire thing. You've got the whole pump mechanism in here, the bottle to catch the milk in the bottom, and then the flange in the back is the part where the milk comes from the breast and into the pump and down to the bottle. So this is the entire thing, which is awesome. It's an all-in-one wearable breast pump. So today let's start with some of the pros of this breast pump, and then we'll go into some of the cons and you can decide if it's right for you. This is actually the pump that I got with my personal insurance this pregnancy. My baby's downstairs, he's about 9 weeks old. So I've been able to use this pump several times this pregnancy. I just finished up a series on the Willow pump, which is a really similar pump. So you can kind of compare and contrast, see if this might be the one for you. Anyway, I'll put all those extra videos down below for you. Okay, so the first pro of the Elvie pump is that it's hands-free and cordless, which is kind of a no-brainer, I guess. But there's no cords. You don't have to be stuck to a wall outlet. You can put this in and pump anywhere. In your car, at home, at work, you name it, you can pump there. So that's definitely a pro compared to some of the more traditional pumps. The number 2 pro to the Elvie pump is its design. Now there's several things that I really like about this pump. It is very light. It's definitely one of the lighter wearable pumps that I've used, and I really love that about the Elvie. One of the things I really like is that it has these guidelines on the flange to help you get the nipple alignment correct. But if you can see, they've got that line straight across, and then they've also got 2 lines down here, and that's to help you get the right placement of your nipple into the pump. And I actually have found them very helpful. It also just kind of has a sleek design. It's well made, it's low profile, it doesn't look super crazy while you're wearing it. So I really just like the design of the Elvie. Actually, I'll put it in for you right now so you can see what it looks like. Okay. So there you go. I've got one side Elvie, one side not Elvie. So you can see there's a difference there. But actually, it's pretty discreet. Of the other wearable pumps that I've tried, this one actually I think is one of the more low profile and less noticeable pumps out there. Okay, the number 3 pro to the Elvie pump is that it has a cool app. And I actually really love the look of the app on the Elvie. It doesn't tell you exactly how much you've pumped while you're pumping. It just kind of has like this wavy little line that goes on it. Kind of gives you an estimate, which is cool because you don't want to get stuck up in the numbers. Like, I'm only at 2.4 ounces and yesterday I pumped 2.8 ounces. Like, come on. Just, it gives you a nice guideline. You can also control the pump on the app, which is cool. It does have little buttons up here. You can control the suction. I usually just do it on my phone though, because you've always got your phone, right? You can bounce back and forth between stimulation and expression mode too, right on your phone. So that's super easy. The app is also cool. You can track how much milk you've pumped. So there's a little left or right button here. You can switch it depending on which side you have the pump on. You can also change that in the app. But if you want to kind of track your output, you can definitely do that. There's also lots of cool videos, tutorials, helps and stuff on the app. So if you need anything, there's probably a little video or section about it in the app. So it's a cool feature. Number 4 is that it's quiet, and this is a very quiet pump. I'll turn it on for you so you can see what it sounds like. My favorite thing about it is that it's quiet right from the start. So you can see that I can hear it, obviously. If you're sitting at like a reception desk or something, somebody could probably hear that. It's even quieter when it's muffled on the inside of all your clothes and things like that. I don't know if you'll find one much quieter than that. Number 5 is that it's gentle. This is one of the most unique pumps I've used so far. It feels very similar to a baby actually suckling. It is quite gentle. At first when I was using it, I was worried that it wasn't like suctioning enough to get the milk out. And I used it for 7 or 8 minutes and then it stopped. This was the first time I used it. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I pulled it out and the milk container was completely full and the pump had auto shut off because the container was full. And I was like, oh, okay, that worked. The suction though is so gentle. I really can't describe it. this is probably one of my favorite pumps to use. It feels the nicest. And I mean, come on, you're breastfeeding or pumping all the live long day. A little treat is nice. Number 6 is that it's efficient, which is no surprise if you heard the story we talked about on number 5, is I can get milk out really quickly with the Elvie, just as fast as I can with something like a Spectra or Luna or Medela, some of those traditional style pumps. This pump has no problem keeping up with that. I also tried pumping the other day to empty to see if it would empty me quite as well as some of the traditional pumps, because I know that's a complaint of some of you moms out there. And I really didn't find a problem with that. I did have to stop and pour the milk out mid-pump because I was really full on the one side. I was late to a feeding. So I was feeding my baby on the one side and pumping on the other. So I did have to stop halfway and empty the bottle. And then I pumped more after that. And I think it was about 20 minutes, which is typical for me if I want to go completely like empty. I got about 8 ounces, which doesn't mean a lot because everybody pumps different, and depending on the time of day that you pump or how full you are, could be totally different. I could sit down to pump another time and get 2 ounces, if I had recently fed or he had just finished cluster feeding or it's late in the evening, so don't get hung up on the numbers. I'm just saying, I was able to get pretty darn close to empty with this Elvie pump. Now, to be fair, I could probably almost completely empty the breast with a Spectra or something, but it would take a lot of work. And honestly, I just don't care. I got so much and I was awesome. I'm very satisfied with the amount of milk I was able to get out of the breast with the Elvie. Okay, number 7 is everything that you need to get started and to use this effectively comes in the box. So it comes with 2 different sizes of the cups, the FLANGE in here, 24 and 28. I think the 21 millimeter is coming out soon. As soon as it does, I'll definitely post a link down in the description for you. It comes with 2 chargers, which is awesome. They're also USB chargers, which is super cool. So you can just get your favorite little standard USB charger, plug it in the wall. It comes with lids for the bottle. So you can take this little part off and put a little lid on there. Actually, let me just show you how to do that. Super easy. When it's done, you can put the lid on there and then put that right in the fridge if you don't want to deal with it right now. Because I get it. Sometimes you're just I'm done. Put the milk in the fridge and I'll figure out what I'm doing with my life later. So that's definitely a pro of the Elvie, that this little bottle thing is super easy to manage. It's also very easy to pour. When you're done pumping, you just take off the little valve here and this pours out so easy into a bottle, a bag, whatever you want. And number 8 pro of the Elvie pump is that it has a few different purchasing options, which I think is really cool. You can purchase just a single Elvie pump, which is really cool. It's about half the cost of buying the double pump, obviously. But if you just wanted one for a much cheaper cost, that's available to you. Not a lot of the other wearable pumps give you that option. If you decide you like it and you want to buy another one later, it's totally no problem. You can pair both with Bluetooth with your app. You're not going to mess anything up. It doesn't have to come in the set. Now, to be honest, if you're pumping like me, which is I'm a stay-at-home mom for now, I am not planning on pumping a lot, but I do want to pump just to kind of have, sometimes you need it. But no, just a regular mom, you're not planning on doing a lot. You could actually get away with one pump. Since I've tried the Elvie, I've actually only pumped with one because I'm exclusively breastfeeding and I'm kind of just pumping for funsies to build a little small stash in the freezer, not anything crazy. So I've only used one at a time. So usually I'm pumping on one side that's super over full and I'm feeding the baby on the other side, or I'm going to be late to a feeding for him for whatever reason. Maybe I'm in an appointment and I can tell, okay, I fed him on this side last. This side needs some help. So I just plug it on the one side because I know I'm going to be feeding him over here soon. So for me, I could totally get away with only one. Now, if you're going back to work or you're planning on extended periods of time away from your baby, you definitely want to. Such a waste of time to pump one and then pump the other multiple times a day. I mean, that's crazy. But something to consider. You might only need the one, and that's an option with the Elvie. All right, the time has come to talk about the cons of the Elvie pump, because there's really not a perfect pump out there that fits everyone's budget, everyone's needs, and is perfect. So let's talk about the cons. Number 1 cost of the Elvie pump is the cost. Now, I'm sure you know this is about a $500 pump. That does include everything you need to get started, so you shouldn't have any extra costs and stuff on top of that, which is awesome. But it's an expensive pump. This is actually the pump I personally got through insurance this pregnancy. And I did have to pay a little bit on top of what my insurance covered. But for me, it was a sweet deal. I already had another pump from a previous pregnancy that I was comfortable with. And so I really wanted to try out one of these. So it worked well for me. I mean, honestly, I have tons of pumps. But YouTube pumping lady aside, I did have one other pump. And so I was like, yeah, let's try the wearable pump. I can afford the little bit extra on top of my insurance. It was awesome. I'll actually put some links down below in the description for you of how you can check and see if your insurance will cover a portion of the pump, just to see if that's an option for you. Okay, con number 2 of the Elvie pump is there are quite a few little parts in here. Now, there's not a ton of parts, but if you're comparing it to some of the similar pumps out there, there's a few more than you'd think. So you've got the flange here, and then you've got this little backflow protector thingy. I probably should have looked up in the owner's manual what all these parts were called before I started. Sorry if I'm not saying the right words. You got the pump here too. You've got the squishy thing. I think it's a valve. And then you've got this little piece, and then you've got the bottle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 pieces. Not terrible, but you do need to take all those pieces apart when you clean it and then put them back together. So I did list that on the con side. I've seen a couple other pumps with fewer pieces, which is nice. Con number 3 is that sometimes it leaks. And I have had it leak once, and it was because it got all the way full and the app or the pump did not notice that, and it just kept pumping. So I definitely had quite the little milk spot underneath. There's a few more parts to this pump, so there's just a couple extra areas it might leak for you. If you get up and bend over with this pump, it's going to leak. It's not designed to be able to pump in crazy positions. So just be cautious of that. If you plan to be super active, very mobile, chasing a toddler, or continuing to work, or doing yoga, this is not going to work for you. It's going to leak a little bit. You're going to be somewhat stationary though at a desk or on the couch, or like I said, I've used it while feeding the baby before. No problems there. It should be fine for you. Okay, con number 4 is the app. And I know I listed this on the pro side because technology is awesome, but technology also sometimes is not awesome. So I listed it on the cons as well. Like I mentioned before, I did have one time when the app did not recognize that it was full and it ended up leaking a little bit on me, so that's kind of annoying. The amount that it tracks that you pump is also not 100% accurate. It's pretty close, but you can go in there and edit it too if you want to be just dynamite on track and look at a realistic number of what you've pumped. It's pretty darn close though. I never edit it because I don't care that much. I'm like, oh, 150 milliliters, that's close enough to what I got. So technology, good and bad. Con number 5 is that this little bottle only holds 5 ounces. So you're talking 5 ounces, about 150 milliliters, which is about the size of other bottles, I feel like. If you're using a traditional pump, sometimes you can get the like 8 or 9 ounce bottles if you're like a super pumper. So I did put that as a con on here, is that only does hold 5 ounces. It's also a little bit tricky to see while you're pumping. So if you've got the pump on, I know you can see how much is in here, but it's harder for me. So the app kind of does help me gauge, and if it's getting pretty darn full, I can tell that obviously, but you can't see it quite as well as maybe like a traditional pump. It's so easy though to just pause your pump, take it, pour the milk into a bottle or a bag, stick it back in, and keep going. Number 6, we've touched on this one a little bit, but it's an upright pumping position only for this pump. So you can't pump laying down or doing crazy stuff. Be careful of bending over. It's not designed to hold milk while you're doing crazy stuff. You can do quite a bit, but the pump does need to stay nice and straight. And number 7 is the limited flange sizes. So it comes with a 24 millimeter and a 28 millimeter flange, which is pretty average sizes. If you want something smaller though, they don't make it. But I did see on the website today, they had listed a 21 millimeter size and said coming soon. So I'm looking forward to that because I will be getting that smaller size. That size will fit me personally better because that's what the size I usually use. But I've been pumping with the 24 millimeter and I haven't had any issues yet so far. That might be bad advice as a lactation counselor to tell you to pump with the wrong size thing. Anyway, you should be pumping with the right size. But my point there was that this will probably still work for you if it's pretty close. Okay, that's it for the Elvie pump, the pros and the cons. So at the end of the day, would I buy this pump? Yes, I love it. And the cons for me do not outweigh the pros. So that's awesome. I really have enjoyed this pump and I'm going to grab it to use more and more often. I think I like the way that it feels. I like the way that it functions. It's super convenient, and this is the pump probably that I'm gonna just like throw in my purse when I'm on the go and I might need a pump. So Elvie gets my stamp of approval, but I'd love to hear what you think. Are some of these cons too big of a con for you? Or is this something that you're thinking about doing? So drop me a line in the comments. I would love to know. If you think of other things that are pros and cons of a pump like this, please tell me. And I've got lots of other videos on this pump and other pumps on my channel, so don't forget to subscribe. I also have a new Facebook group where we will help you choose what pump is best for you. So I'll also have that link in the description. See you on the next video.